So with that being said, I'm going to let you know why I left my life behind to live full time on cruise ships. And honestly, right now, I am still nervous to talk about this because obviously it's real personal, and um, a lot of people don't like to be vulnerable with things like that. But I'm here for it. I'm only going to be on this planet for another 40, 50, maybe 60 years. Depends on how much God blesses me. So if me sharing my story can help even one person a little bit, then I don't care what the naysayers say or anything like that. So I'm just gonna talk about it. Um, so I want to talk about the real reason that I'm living full time on cruise ships. And as most of these stories go, there's a man involved, right? It's always a man involved. But I am not going to be one of those, I will never be one of those women who say it's better to be single, all men are dogs, all men are this, or no, I believe in marriage and I think it's the best institution out there. And if you know anything about me, I'm a Christian, so I follow the tenets of the Bible. Okay, so I do believe that in marriage and families and things like that. So I don't bash men, but my case is it does involve a man. Obviously, it was my ex-husband. So um, let me just back up a little bit in case you're new here. My name is Linnell, and I live full time on cruise ships. I do it right now on a budget of $2,500 a month. About 2000 a month is my budget for living on the cruise ships and another 500 a month for my other expenses. So my cell phone, my health insurance, my Netflix, all that other stuff, my playing in the casino, anything extra, my excursions, $500 a month. Sometimes I go over that. Sometimes I stay way under that, but a monthly budget of 2500 a month. I just got off of Carnival Spirit, which was a 16-day cruise. It left from Miami, went through the Panama Canal. It went to I call them the three C's, uh, Cartagena, Colombia, Costa Rica, and Cabo San Lucas. And now I'm here in a hotel in downtown Seattle, Washington. I'm only here for one day, and then I get on the train, and then I go to LA, and I get on another cruise ship. So, yeah, there are times when I am in between cruises. And let's see. Um, I think the gist of what you need to know about me right now as far as me living on cruise ships. If you want to know more about that, of course, I have lots of videos on the channel. In all of my videos, I link my very first video, which shows how I came about doing this, as far as how I got the deals to be able to cruise so inexpensively. So feel free to check out that video. It was my very first video back in June of 2024, and I started cruising full time. I got my first discounted cruise April of 2024. I cruised 2 times in April, 1 time in May, 2 times in June, and then I went full time, not permanent, full time living on cruise ships the 4th of July, Independence Day, and I did it on Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas. All right, so a little history about me, because you need to know the backup story without going into too much detail and taking up too much of your time. You need to know the backstory to understand how I got where I am right now and kind of my mindset. So I was raised one of seven, to a single mom. My dad died when I was 1 year old. My mom was still pregnant with my brother. We were all living in New Orleans at the time, which is where I was born. My dad died from he was on a scaffold. I just found this out recently, like this year or 2024. I just found this out. I only knew that he was electrocuted. Nobody would ever tell me the details, and I finally got the details. So what had happened was him and my one of my uncles were painting a house. They were on a scaffold, and there was some loose wires around the house. If you know, in some of the cities, the wires, electrical wires are not buried, they're up on cables or whatever. There was a loose wire. It was a freak accident. The wire happened to hit the scaffold. My dad was the one that was on the scaffold, and he died from it. So I grew up not having a dad, 7 kids, single mom, growing up in poverty. I had no kind of guidance and things like that. I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own. Of course, except for the things that my mom taught me, but being that she had 7 kids and was living in poverty, so she was always having 3 jobs at a time. She didn't really have a lot of time to teach me the stuff that a lot of moms taught their daughters. Okay, so I said all that to say, um, I didn't really raise myself, but I raised myself in a lot of different things. I ended up getting pregnant at 17. I had my first child at 18. I married, it was her dad. We got married when I was 19. We had our second child when I was 20 and my our third child when I was 20, when I was 22. So have 3 kids from my first husband. We were married for 24 years and then he got a debilitating case of gout, which left him 100% disabled, which meant that I was the sole breadwinner. I was not the head of household, don't get it twisted, but I was the sole breadwinner for our household. He got disability, but it wasn't really that much. Um, so anyway, as our kids grew up, and it was just, he and I, like the year that my youngest son was in high school before he graduated, I decided to go back. Already had a 2-year degree. I decided to go back to UCF and got my accounting degree. And we knew that his gout was debilitating. We did not know that he was going to pass from it. So my husband ended up passing October of 2013, my last semester at UCF. As you can imagine, I was devastated. It was something totally unexpected. Um, so yeah, so the kids were all grown and gone, and here I am left by myself. We did, neither one of us knew anything about any kind of finances. When I was in school at UCF, I did start learning about. I took a class, elective on personal finance, so that's where I learned about. I mean, you hear stuff, but growing up in poverty, you don't think about that kind of stuff like financial planning and stuff like that. So I didn't know anything about insurance, and we didn't have any kind of insurance, no 401k, no nothing. At the time that my husband died, I had student loans and $500 to my name. That's it. And we just kept $500 in one of those little black safes that you get from Walmart. We just kept that in the closet. And that's all that we had. His brother ended up doing a GoFundMe for the funeral, all that good stuff. And so, yeah, I got the job um, working for a Fortune 500 company January, that January after I graduated, left Florida behind, moved to South Carolina for the job. All the kids were grown and gone, doing their own thing. Um, 2 was still in college. The oldest was already graduated, I think. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, so I was the only one in my family to ever have a college degree. I was the only one in my family because my mom moved us from New Orleans to Orlando when I was 4. Out of all my siblings, I'm the only one who ever left Florida. They're all still in Florida. Um, and I did a lot of firsts, and I was really quite proud of myself. And I loved the job that I was doing as an accountant. Uh, I still get a smile on my face thinking about it. Um, so I don't regret any of those decisions, but I mean, I could talk forever and ever about my life, being that I'm 54 now. Of course, I could talk for days, but that's the gist of, so a little background about me and where I came from. When I moved to South Carolina, that's where I met my um, now ex-husband while I was there. And they had some changes in the company that I was working for. So, long story short, we ended up moving to Georgia. That's another story for another day. So, here I am, widowed, now in a new relationship, now in a new job. I have no family there in South Carolina. All of my kids are doing their own thing. 2 of them were still in Florida. One had moved to California, all that good stuff. Okay, at this point, when was this? 2017 when I got married the second time. And he had already been divorced before. And of course, I was on my second marriage. So we were both on our second marriage, and we both had 3 kids. So let's see, where should I go with this next? I guess the next part is coming up just before the pandemic. I would say probably in 20, so I moved to Georgia when we got married, 2017. I worked there 2017, 2018. And then 2018, 2017 and 2018. I'd already been with this company for 4 years at this point. And again, I loved my job and had worked in different environments with the job. But this place that I moved to in Georgia, it was a totally different culture. I'm just gonna say it. It was ghetto. Okay. I know ghetto because I was raised in the ghetto, and the people was ghetto compared to the other environments that I had worked at this Fortune 500 company. Um, yeah. And so I did my best to kind of work around it, but being the left brain person that I am, being analytical, being an accountant, I want to make sure, and I'm a perfectionist at that. I want to make sure that all my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. I want to make sure all my numbers are right. I'm the type of person always going above and beyond. And so it got to a point where um, it was just too much for me to handle. And so I would talk to my supervisor and say, I need to go work in the conference room because they're just too loud here, and I don't wanna hear about all this personal stuff they talking about, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and you know how you try to not be I don't know, not be that person? It's like, I don't wanna tell everybody in the office, "Shut up," when I'm the only one who can't concentrate, so I'm the one who's I'm gonna take myself I tried to work with everybody, so I took myself out, and it's like, if I need to concentrate, go work in a conference office or something like that, and then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. That's a whole nother story. I'm sure some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it got so bad that I actually wanted to leave the job. I did apply for some other positions. So I moved up in this company 3 times before I got to this position um, in Georgia. And if you know anything about working for a Fortune 500 companies, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'll be honest, I got those 2 promotions because of who I knew. So and so knew so and so, and I needed to leave South Carolina to go to this position, to go to this position. And because I knew so and so, I didn't even have to interview for the position, they just gave it to me. So by the time I got to South Carolina, I was like, I'm done with these people here. I'm ready to go to another position. Um, the people that I had been networking with didn't really have any positions to move me to. So I applied for some other positions that I hadn't really networked with those people about. But long story short, I said all that to say um, I didn't have opportunities to move up because I didn't know the people that the positions were available. I didn't. It was I didn't know the right people. So yeah, I kept applying for different positions in the company and I couldn't move out of that office. And I'm still friends with a couple people there and they keep asking me, oh, you should come over to audit. You should come over to this. And it's like, now that I'm gone, I'm definitely not going back. But I didn't have those opportunities when I was there. So anyway, I said all that to say the job really started getting toxic where it was so bad that I just did not want to go to the office at all, but I still love my work, if you know what I'm saying. So I asked my supervisor, could I work from home? And she was like, nah, we don't do that, blah, 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 blah. You just got to deal with it. So sometimes I would come in early, like an hour or two early. Oh, there's a beautiful dog outside the window. Don't look at that dog. I don't even like animals, but that dog is beautiful. Um, Focus. Uh, and she was like, "No, you can't. We can't work from home." Blah 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 blah. So that was in 2018. So I kind of just, sucked it up, did what I could. I actually put in some applications with other companies too, even though I didn't want to leave my company because I really loved the company. I really loved the work I was doing. But I put in a lot of applications with other companies, and uh, ageism is a real thing. It's a real thing. I don't want to go into that right now, but yeah, ageism is a thing. And so I was not getting opportunities outside of the company. And then lo and behold, COVID hits. Everything in my personal life is still good and great. With the husband, with the kids, with the grandkids, everything is good and great. COVID hits, and I'm one of those people, I'm really sad that a lot of people lost their lives and got sick and everything that happened. But I actually benefited from COVID because the job that she told me that I couldn't do from home, guess what? I'm doing that from home for the next 2 years. So I'm thanking God for this blessing because I was able to be so much more productive. Yes, sometimes we went in the office, and I agreed with that. It was not a big issue. But I got so much work done and I was so much more productive and even understanding some things that I really didn't have time to do. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. So fast forward to, let's see, I guess 2023. well, really 2022. So fast forward 2022. At this point in our lives, my husband was we ended up buying a house together, and he wanted to live in a 55 plus community, which we neither one of us were 55, but we finagled it. We ended up buying this house, building it from the ground up, and he all of a sudden, because my mom was in a nursing home, he has this great idea. Let's add another room on for your mom, and let's add on. You know how when you have a custom house, you can add on all this other stuff. And we both making six figures, no big deal, right? I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, but what about resale value? And he's like, no, we're gonna live in this house till we die. And I'm like, yeah, we are gonna live in this house till we die. So let's not worry about resale value and all that. So we ended up selling our house during right after COVID, which if you know, all the values went up. The house that we were in, we sold, and then we built this one from the ground up. So now we got this big. The house had room for us. Um, an office for me to work from home, a room for my mom, and then he had this great idea to build a loft upstairs with another bedroom for when my family comes over. They ain't never come over. When my family comes over from Florida to come visit my mom, and when his family comes over from South Carolina, they ain't never come over. So now we got this big old four-bedroom, three-bath house for just the two of us. No big deal. Again, we can afford it. We're both making six figures. No big deal. Um, end of so that was 20. I can't remember what year we bought that house, but we're at the end of 2022 right about now. My mom starts getting worse and worse and worse, and she ends up having to go to a nursing home. So we had a big house for the three of us. Now we got a big house for the two of us. Um, coming out of COVID, now they want us to come back to the office. The stress up to here. I go to my doctor, um, tell her about all these ailments that I'm having. She's like, girl, you're pre-diabetic, you have high blood pressure. And I'm like, none of this stuff runs in my family. Where's it coming from? And she's like, you're stressed and you need to stay away from this and stay away from that and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, I really got to get rid of this job. And I was trying to figure out a way to do it because it was just really, really bad. And so I came across Exodus Summit. Some of you know about Exodus Summit, but they started talking about, and along the way too, I did miss this part. Along the way too, I had been learning about FIRE, so financial independence, retire early. I had been learning about minimalism and stuff like that, not thinking it was for me as far as the minimalism, because I was already naturally a minimalist person. But the FIRE movement, because I knew I hadn't saved anything, I had learned some stuff in college about personal finances. So, talked to my husband. We both were in agreement. We're living below our means, and we're going to put X amount of dollars in our 401k. We're going to put X amount of dollars in some I bonds. We're going to put some X amount of dollars in M1 finance to do some, and not. I don't like. I personally don't like to invest in individual stocks. That's just the risk tolerance for me, whereas he did, and we would both put the same amount in our M1 finance, but mine would be in mutual funds or whatever it was called, index funds. Mine would be in index funds and his would be in individual stocks. So, but we were both putting in the same amount into all of our different investments. And so 2023 came around. My mom got really bad. She had to go into a nursing home, and I think I mentioned that already. And then right about that same time, hubby started acting funny. I couldn't really put a finger on what it was. I had no idea, but he just really started becoming. He was already, I don't know if controlling is the right word, but he was already overly protective on a lot of things, and some of it was cute and it was fun until what I saw it was leading up to, which I'll talk about in a moment. But like when we were first dating, it should have been a red flag, but it wasn't. I thought it was sweet. I was fine with it. I actually liked it. When we first started dating, we would go to the mall or whatever. He'd be one of those people that hold my hand all the time and go to the bathroom, stand there and wait for me and all this good stuff. Um, but that wasn't really the red flag. The red flag was while we were dating, I lived in I worked in one city in South Carolina, and then I lived in one city that was 45 minutes away. On the way to work and on the way home, every day, he would call me or whatever. But then he would talk to me like the whole time. And then sometimes I would go with my girlfriends or whatever, and he would, like, still be on the phone with me. I'd be like, "Okay, I'm with my friend now." He's like, "Okay, that's fine," and he'd just keep on talking. I'm like, "Dude, I'm finna get off this phone." Now that look back in hindsight, that was kind of a red flag, but again, I thought it was sweet, no big deal. But anyway, come about 2023, he just started really being, for lack of a better word, controlling. He didn't like this purse. He wanted me to get rid of that purse, and he wanted to buy me these purses. He didn't like this outfit. He wanted me to not wear that anymore, wear these outfits that he bought me. And he had been doing it over the years, but it just became really extreme. And I was like, you're driving me nuts because I'm a very simple person. I don't like jewelry. I don't like name brand stuff. You never even see me, wear this stuff. Why are you all of a sudden putting this stuff on me? And I kind of told him how I felt about it. Like I was uncomfortable with it. And he was like, okay, but then he kept doing it. I don't want to get into all the details. I could talk about it all day and night. I guess that's for a therapist to work out, but it was a whole bunch of stuff like that. And basically, he was just different in I mean, like I said, I'll go ahead and put it out there. He was different in bed. He was different when we went to church. Every time I would play my church music, why you got to play that all the time? Blah 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 blah. Eh, Okay, I understand if you want to listen to curse music with cussing in it, but I don't like that kind of stuff. So, when we're in the car or whatever, we got to do some kind of compromise. You don't want to listen to my church music. I don't want to see your cussing music. So let's just listen to some R&B, something in the middle. But it was always something. It's like we were always just bumping heads. And so finally, um, October 2023. I was totally fed up with everything. Fed up with him, fed up with my job. I just wanted to quit everything. Um, my mom was in the nursing home, so I had a whole bunch of stress. So this is all leading up to me living full time on cruise ships. So October 2023 came. I think it was probably maybe August. I just no, because it was last minute. So it must have been September. It was last minute. I booked a last minute cruise, solo cruise by myself, um, to Bermuda. And that was my first time going on a solo cruise. And I told him up front, I said, I got to get away because you killing me, this job killing me. And I don't know if I even want to stay in this marriage. But being a Christian, he wasn't cheating on me or nothing like that. He wasn't, hitting on me or nothing like that. I'm not going to, divorce or leave the marriage over whatever was going, all this just stress, whatever it's called. But I kept telling him it wasn't working and he'd apologize and he'd go back. Okay, so this you're probably thinking, you know, it probably wasn't as bad as she's saying it, but it was really bad to the point where I started making notes because he would be gaslighting me and saying that I said something, and so I would make myself a note, and then when he would come back and say you didn't say so and so or you did say so and so, I would go back to my notes and be like, I did say so and so. Why? He's really gaslighting me. It was a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, I can't get into 100%. That's not what this story is about. But just so you get the gist of it, this is why I was so stressed. So when I went on that cruise in October, Royal Caribbean, that's when I first learned about um, getting free cruises. And I talk about that in another video, so I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. But the gist of it is I'm an accountant, so I'm very frugal. And so when I go to casinos on land or on a cruise, I have a budget of $100 per day, and that's it. I know it doesn't seem like a lot to most people, and to some people, it's like, I'm not spending a dime in a casino. But that was mine. That was my thing. I like casinos, but $100, that's it. And then I saw some women on the cruise who were always, it was two women and one man. They were always at the same machine every night. And by the third night, I asked them what was going on. They explained, again, I put that in another video. They explained how they were getting free cruises. And so I attempted to get free cruises, not knowing that I was going to be doing all this right here, but I did attempt to get a free cruise and I did get a free cruise that night. So when I got back, I told him, I said, I've been praying, taking time for myself, and this is what I'm going to do. You can let me know if you're in agreement or not, whatever, but this is what I feel. I said, you got one more time to continue doing what you're doing, and I'm out of here. You got one more time. That's it. I said, I don't really have grounds to divorce or anything like that, but I know I'm miserable. I know what happiness looks like. This ain't it. I'm fed up. Um, so, and I said, my job is killing me. I'm leaving this job. I've done some calculations from classes that I learned at Exodus Summit. I can live off for the rest of my life. I can live off of what I have in savings, investments, and 401k, as long as I don't spend more than, because I had done the research on the FIRE movement, the financial independence retire early, the 4% rule and all that. As long as I don't spend over $3,000 a month, I am good, until I'm 100. Once I'm 100, I don't know what's gonna happen. So I told him I'm leaving my job, but the only way for us to do this is we're gonna have to be living off of your income and me living off of no more than $3,000 a month. So for us to do that, we gotta leave this big old house that uh so that was the reason why we ended up selling the house. So when I say I sold the house, we sold the house. I say I sold the house because the house was in my name. Okay. So this was October. He agreed that we were going to sell the house, downsize, and I was going to leave my job come April of 2024. So we were in agreement with that. He understood where I was coming from with the stress with him, or so he said. And he actually did get better. He did stop being as controlling for the most part, but it was still there. Um, so yeah, that's when I had the plans to leave my job. Of course, I wasn't gonna tell them that. So let me see. Fast forward to January of 2024. My mom passed away. My husband was very supportive at the time. We ended up going to Florida for her funeral, and not her funeral, her homegoing. I don't know what it's called. Memorial. It was a memorial. We had a memorial service for her. So that was January. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. Obviously, I can't tell the whole story in just 15, 20 minutes, okay? But this is the gist of it. So January, again, he was very supportive. Came March. Well, back in November, he had started getting sick and he had been going to some doctors to see what was wrong with him and different things like that. So came, I'm gonna stick this in here and then I'm gonna go back to the story. February, I was watching Risa Tisa. If any of you watch TikTok and you know who Risa Tisa is, you know where I'm going with this story. For those of you who don't know, Risa Tisa became famous on TikTok because she married a guy during the pandemic after only knowing him for about a month. And she titled the series, Who the F Did I Marry? And normally when I'm working from home, I don't watch TV or YouTube or anything like that except for on my breaks. So at this point, I was still working from home, even though they were calling us to work in the office 2 to 3 days a week. But I didn't care because I knew I was going to leave in April. So this was beginning of March, I think I saw it. I watched her whole series no, I watched her series on a break. And then I was like, ooh, this is very intriguing. And again, I'm not the type of person to watch TV or even listen to music while I'm working, but I was so involved that I actually did leave it on while I was working. And so I think I watched her whole series in like that Friday and then a Saturday and Sunday. And I was like, "Ooh, this is very interesting." Oh, wow, wow. So if you don't know anything about, thank you for the condolences for my mom. I appreciate that. If you know anything about the story, Who the F Did I Marry, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, check that out. Even if it has even if you don't have like, it's just a really good, interesting um, thing that she did. It was on TikTok and then she moved it to YouTube. But anyway, so the premise of that story was, and I wasn't thinking that this applied to me, but it obviously did, which you'll see in a minute. But the premise of the story was he was doing all this crazy stuff and telling her this and telling her that. And he was the man of her dreams and all this and that. But stuff was not adding up and she could not figure it out. And spoiler alert, if you want to watch it, you might want to press mute right now, but spoiler alert, she only found out because she went through his phone. All right, so back to my story. My husband had already had surgery, the second husband, he had already had surgery twice. And I never went through his phone before, never had a reason to. Um, I I wouldn't want him well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't want him going through my phone. I never had my phone unlocked. He always had his phone unlocked. Someone would call me, I'd be like, "Answer." He's like, "No, I'm not touching your phone." Why? There's no password on my phone or anything like that. Just answer it with it. But yeah, that should have been a red flag, but it wasn't. A lot of people keep their phones unlocked. Um, but anyway, so he had his phone unlocked. So this time when my husband had surgery in March, I had this thing in the back of my head from Risa Tisa, and he gave me his phone. Whether I was right or whether I was wrong, I don't know, and I don't care. But I checked his phone, and um, I didn't have the password. I had no idea what the password was. But like always, like I said, this was his third surgery. He gave me his phone, he gave me his wallet, he gave me all his stuff. So I went out to the waiting room like usual. Risa Tisa done put this in my head. And I'm like, I'm feeling so guilty. I gotta figure out the password to this man's phone because I gotta see what's on there. See, there's gonna be some porn or something like that. It's stuff men do, which I don't know what men do. I'm not a man, but it might be some crazy stuff on there. I don't know. I done figured out the password to the phone, and did my eyes get open? All right, so already, my mom. Wait, I left out a part about the house. Okay, let me back up. I'm sorry. I knew I was going to do this, even though I got my notes. Okay, so the part about the house. We had agreed when I got back from the cruise that we were going to sell the house. We did sell the house, and we moved into, we were over in Henry County in Georgia. We moved over to Macon in Georgia, January. And we were happened to do in the closing to close the old house and get in the new house like a week before my mom passed. So it was really a rough time. We were trying to juggle everything. But the new house my name was on nothing. His name was on everything: the house, the utilities, the mortgage. I wasn't even on the deed. I had no claim to the house. His name was on the alarm, everything. Um, and he swears to this day that once once I asked for the divorce, he swears that because I didn't have my name on this house, I was always planning to leave. I don't care. I know I was not planning to leave. Something in my spirit told me, your name was on the house for the first two houses, was on the mortgage, was on the deed, was on everything. This time, get it in his name. All right, so I left that part out. But yeah, so now we're living in Macon. My mom has passed. He's in the hospital. I'm trying to get through his phone. I figure out the code to the phone. I open up the phone, and without being too graphic, because I don't know what I'm allowed to say here on YouTube or not, but um this man was a whole actor. What I thought was this wonderful marriage that we had, this man has been, I'll tell you some examples. I'm looking through at a Walmart receipt for some lingerie that he sent me on such and such date. On the next receipt on the Walmart account, same exact lingerie in a different color to another woman. The other woman was an ex-girlfriend. Um, that's another story. I'll just say this. His sister, one time we were at a barbecue and his at his sister's house, and his sister had said, "Hey," I shouldn't have said his name. Y'all forget that. It's easy enough to find out. But anyway, she said his name. She said, "Hey, um, so and so said to tell you, hey," and I pick up on it. I was just thinking it was a friend or something like that. And this was that same woman. So now in my head, I'm thinking, so your sister knew the whole time that you've been seeing this other woman? This man has been sending her money. This man is on blackpeoplemeet.com, has been on a dating website since, I don't know how far back it went, but it was before we got married. And I'm seeing him chatting with women as recently as when I was looking at the phone, it said yesterday. So this is not something, oh, he went and, it was a year or a little spot, he was mad at me for a couple months or something like that. No, this has been for the whole 7 years that we've been married, up until this day that this man is having surgery. And um, what else? What else? What else? He was sending her money. He was I'll get to some other stuff in a moment. But anyway, so at this point right here, um, it's gonna be sad, and I thought I was gonna cry, but I think that God prepared me for it. Where are we at? 30, okay, 34 minutes. We're okay. But I think God had prepared me for it because I'm sitting here already in my head. I already told you one more time, and I'm out of here. So I'm very decisive. I'm sitting here taking pictures of the stuff that I'm seeing on the phone as evidence in case I've never been divorced before, so I don't know what you need as evidence for divorce. But yeah, I'm sitting here taking pictures. So anyway, long story short, his surgery did not go like it was supposed to. It took 3, 4, it was supposed to be an hour. It took like 3, 4 hours, and he had another hour of recovery. So I'm sitting there for 5 hours waiting for this man to come out of surgery so I can tell him that I'm out the door. And so that's why I ended up getting divorced. And this was the last week of, third week of March. I already made up my mind. I'm still leaving my job come April 1st. Um, I already sold the house. The new house is not in my name. He comes out of surgery. I call his sister, tell her what's going on. You need to come get your brother. Everybody is in an uproar at me because, okay, we understand that he did what he did, but you shouldn't leave him until he's recovered. You know he's gonna need somebody at home to take care of him. I said he got somebody. He got plenty of other people that check his phone. Any of them can come and help him. I'm out of here. So I go. I know he got at least 3 days in the hospital. I go to my house. I pack up everything that's mine, or I know that he doesn't want, like the bunk beds for the grandkids and stuff like that. I put it all in a U-Haul. I take it over to my daughter's house. I give her everything that I know she could use, like the bunk beds and stuff like that, because he don't need no bunk beds. Um, but I left him all the furniture and stuff like that. I wasn't one of those people who went and cleaned out the whole house. No, no, no. I didn't do anything like that. But I left him there. I told his sister and his mom they can come pick him up from the hospital. They're still in the uproar about me leaving him in the hospital. But anyway, I don't care. Um, so now I gotta figure out what the heck am I gonna do? I've already decided I'm gonna leave my job. Do I want to stay in this job and let it keep killing me, or do I go ahead and just suck it up now that I'm single and I know I haven't been able to find another job with another company. I've sent out over 100 resumes, even with the IRS. IRS always hired an accountants. And now I know now with all this crazy stuff that's going on, maybe God was just trying to save me from that and bring me over to this wonderful world that I'm living in now. But yeah, I even applied with the IRS and nobody was hiring me. Nobody was calling me for a job. Not even within my company. And so I just said, bump it. I'm going to just take 90 days to figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm at my daughter's now. I got all this stuff. And um, I started booking cruises. I'm like, I'm going to take 90 days. And I found out about these free cruises and they got some more. So I'm just book them. And then I started reading the fine print. It's like, oh, wait, I can do 7 cruises with this one code. I can do 4 cruises with this one code. I can do Carnival and Royal Caribbean. So I just started booking them up. And that is how I ended up living full time on cruise ships because I was just going to do it for 90 days. I saw that booking the cruises was going to cost me under 12, about 1,200 average. And then when I added in the gratuities, sometimes going on excursions, I was like, I can do this for under 2,000 a month. I'm gonna do this as long as possible. And when I'm done with it, I know how much I can live off of. I can either come back because my daughter kept asking me to come and live with her to be her nanny because she knows I love them grandkids and I was spoiling to death. And I'm probably the best person to watch them. She didn't really like daycares and with school systems and stuff like that. She wants to homeschool them. As much as I would really, really, really love to do that, I got some healing to do. And also, I don't know if me and my daughter could do it because she's like my favorite person in the world. My sons know that too. Um, but yeah, my daughter's my favorite person in the world, and she knows I love her and those kids and my other grandkids to death. But I hear that 2 women cannot live in the same household together, and so I didn't want to mess up our relationship. So I told her, no, no, thank you. I'll help wherever I can, if you needed help financially or anything like that. She's like, no, 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 we don't need help financially. I just thought maybe that was something you wanted to do. So yeah, I decided either I'm gonna live on cruise ships or I'm gonna go do some of this stuff that I learned from Exodus Summit, I could go live in Mexico. I could go live in Portugal. I could go live in Southeast Asia. I could go live in an African country. I can go live in Ecuador. A lot of places, even some places in the United States, which they don't really tickle my fancy, but there's a lot of places where if you live on a budget, you can live for under $2,000, $3,000 a month. So I said, I'm just going to live on cruise ships. Once that's up, I may come back to Georgia. I don't know. I may move to New Orleans. I may move to Alabama, Mississippi, somewhere with a low cost of living. I may move to another country. But in the meantime, I'm going to take these cruises and I'm going to go see what's out there and just enjoy my life. Forget about the ex, forget about the job, forget about the house. Now, everything I own, I was going to say on the ship because that's normally what I say. Everything I own is in this hotel except for 2 or 3 tubs of like pictures and stuff like that, memorabilia that's in my daughter's garage. And I've already embraced the minimalist lifestyle. I already know what my finances are. And now that I have YouTube income, I haven't even had to take from my investments since, is it January, I think? So that's over there to the side, just growing. So God is watching out for me. And now you know why I walked away from everything, why I sold my house, why I got divorced, why everything I own is with me, and why I live full time on cruise ships. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have to sit in traffic. I did have my vehicle. It was totally paid off. My daughter at the time needed a car. It was Hyundai SUV. I just donated that to her. Make sure I got everything. Everything was already in good condition anyway, but gave that to her. I don't have to answer to a boss. I don't have to worry about finances. Um, Yeah. So now I made a video that I feel like I'm the happiest person on earth, and I still feel that way right now. I don't know if that will change ever. I don't know if I would get into another relationship or not. Um, I don't know. I'm open to whatever God has for me, whether I'm single the rest of my life or I get in another relationship, whether stay in the United States or move to another country. I'm truly right now in my happy place and I'm embracing it. And with that, I want to hear it from you. What do you think? Do you think I made the right decisions? Uh, my what do you call it? My aunt-in-law. Um, I still talk with her sometimes, and my ex brother-in-law. Back up. Let me add this into. Let me add this into. Now, this is kind of important to the story. Um, so there's a lot, but I'm not gonna say it all. There's just this one other thing. I had been. I had also felt like back when I was getting the notion like he was being controlling and stuff like that too. And I'm saying this because I think it might help somebody else out if they're thinking something is going on and that they're not really sure. Um, my husband had said something to me one day where I said I was going to the store or something, and I stopped by my daughter's, and I said, "No, I'm on my way to the store," but I went to my daughter's, and he said, "Are you sure you're at the store and not at your daughter's?" And I was like, "Well, how does he know that?" So I was thinking this man got a tracker on my phone or something like that. But I didn't care. I wasn't really doing anything wrong. I was going to the store. I was just stopping by my daughter's first. But it just made me think, is this man tracking me or something like that? It was a whole bunch of other stuff besides this, but I feel like this right here is really important. So I didn't think nothing of it. But then after I filed for divorce, his brother tells me a whole laundry list of stuff about who he's been cheating with and where he's been cheating and when he was cheating and all this and that. And he goes, "You know, he has a tracker on your car." And I'm like, "He does? What are you talking about?" He said, "Yeah, he told me a whole bunch of stuff." He said, "One of the things he's been tracking you on your car." I was like, "So that's why he knew where I was." I still never checked the car, even after he told me that, because I didn't care. I wasn't doing anything wrong. Um, and then about a month after I filed for divorce, I got a flat tire because I was giving my car to my daughter, and I was like, I got to get this tire fixed. Anyway, my son-in-law and my son went to change the tire, and lo and behold, they found the tracker on my car. Not that I needed any more confirmation, but that was confirmation right there. Extra confirmation that I'm glad I did what I did. But anyway, all right, let me stop rambling. I could go on and on. I'm gonna see if I can catch up on the comments. If there's any questions, please put a QQQ in front of it. Otherwise, um, I may miss it because I know there's a lot of hellos and things like that, and we're running up on 44 minutes right now, so I don't want this to go too long. Plot twist, I'm not a fugitive. All righty, all righty. Thank you all so much for hearing my story. I know there's gonna be some people who are judgmental. I don't worry about those people. I'm here to help anyone that this might help you if you find yourself in a toxic environment, whether it be a job or relationship or something else. Hopefully this helps you to know you're not crazy. Because sometimes I thought I was crazy. I'm like, I feel like I'm being gaslighted, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I just need to stop and pray. Um, you never told the whole story of why you left your husband. You'll never hear the whole exact story, but that is the gist of it. Um, Having a successful YouTube channel is the American dream these days. It was supposed to be a hobby, but sounds like obviously this story is resonating with a lot of people. Uh, didn't know you could pass from gout. Yes, thank you. I didn't either until it actually happened. And he was only 45 at the time. I think I was 41, 42. He was only 45. Um, yeah, I was not finance savvy. I always loved math, but I didn't know anything about personal finances until I went to college. What type of job had you had before? That's a good question. So before I went back to school to be an accountant, I had I think I did mention this in another video, so maybe you're new here. So I went to school. I did a lot of fast food, Arby's and stuff like that. And then I finally decided to go to school for it to be a secretary, administrative assistant. And then I got a job as an administrative assistant. The first week on the job, I didn't get no work done. The management company, it was for a property management company. My first week on the job, the property management took over an apartment complex, and then they eventually they grew to this big company, but they took over their first apartment complex, and everybody except for the porter failed the drug test. So he asked me to go over there and babysit. I don't even know you, man. I've been at this job for a week. I don't know nothing about no property management. He said, don't worry about it. He said, I'm just gonna tell you what to do. Just stay there while I do the hiring process and hire a manager. Anyway, long story short, he saw that I follow instructions really good and I'm a quick learner. And he trained me to be an apartment manager. And from that point on, I became an apartment manager and I moved up with his company as they grew to different positions. And before I left, I was a district manager for that prop, property management company. And I did that for 18 years with the same company. Um, M1 Finance is, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe someone else explained it in the chat. What is M1 Finance? It's investment platform where you can go buy stocks of, I don't know, McDonald's, Google. Yeah, it's just a place where you can invest money, kind of like Robinhood, I guess. All right, I know there's going to be a lot of comments and stuff. I'm looking for the QQQ, so if you have any questions, I can answer that, but I can't answer every comment because we're going to be here till midnight. I love the fire movement. Had no idea about it until, yep. I saw this as I'm browsing through here. Um, I saw this one video. I can't think of the name of it now, but the guy showed how you can become a millionaire on a McDonald's salary. That got me hooked right there. I started watching everything about minimalism and the fire movement. I was like, say less, teach me how to do this. Um, when you go looking for something, you might find it. Yep. Woman's intuition. Um, oh gosh, oh gosh. Okay. I felt like this was gonna come. I'm just gonna leave that alone. I put myself out there, so uh, God was preparing you. Condolences on your mom. Thank you. Hire a caregiver. Yeah. Um, yeah, my when I told my family what was going on, so my siblings, right? I got four brothers. Y'all seen the movie Four Brothers? They were like, you want us to come over there and take care of business? I was like, no, gotta get him, gotta get him, gotta get him. And he has. Again, I could talk more about it. Unfortunately, I'm still in contact with him, and his life is so much worse now. Yeah, he is definitely regretting it. Let's see. Y'all are doing really good about hitting the thumbs up button. I know a lot of people on this channel watch on their TV, so you can't hit the thumbs up button, or you can, but it's harder to maneuver. But I see that there's 340 people watching and 259 hit the like button, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Um, all right, if you're just tuning in, I did already finish telling why I now live on, well, what happened? It's not why. The why is because I have this opportunity and it's a great opportunity. The how I got to my regular life and why I quit that life for this life is what I already talked about. So if you want to go ahead and just rewind and, um, I don't know, go through it on 2 times speed if you want. Um, Yeah, and I don't understand that. I mean, I'm still looking through questions. I don't understand it because I knew, okay, so I said before, I'm a Christian. I'm a very forgiving person. And I know that people have past, things like that. And I knew that he had got divorced before, so maybe this was a red flag for me, and maybe it's my fault for not following through with that. But I knew he had got divorced before because he had cheated on his first wife. He said he was done with all that and blah, 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 blah. And he learned his lesson and maybe he did and maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I felt like that was the person I was supposed to be with. Of course, this wasn't anything that I jumped into. I knew him for a year and a half, which might seem like a short time for the younger people, but that's enough time for when you're in your 40s. That's enough time for you to know a person, whether or not you want to be married to them or not. I just didn't know that he was acting. And he was a really good actor until he wasn't. Yeah, I think I made the right decision too. Um, and like I said, I'm still in contact with him. Probably, I don't know how long ago it's been, a few months, but if I was to ask him right now, you know, I changed my mind, I want to go back to you, he would take me back in a heartbeat, but I ain't going back. It's like, why would I go back to that when I got this right here? And God is punishing you. I don't want to be in the middle of that. No, I'm going to get my blessing. He is showing me a way better life, and I deserve it. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm a perfect person, obviously not. Um, but I didn't break my vows. I didn't cheat. I didn't give you a reason to cheat. And I know I when I went on that cruise, I was thinking, am I doing something wrong? Why is this marriage? Because we do that, right? We women, we do that. What am I doing to make him be a different person? Why is he not the person that I was dating or that I was married to for the last 4 or 5 years? Is it something that I did? So, we internalize and we try to see, was it something that we did? And of course I did that. Was it something that I did? And it's like, no, he was doing this before you got married and he just kept doing it. He just never stopped. So you just didn't figure it out. So that was bad on your part, As smart as we are, we don't always know everything. Um, is it cheaper than living on land, for instance, on rent? Depends on where you're at, right? So I live on $2,500 a month right now. Some people are living off of Social Security on $1,200 a month. So no, it's not cheaper for them. Some people live in, I don't know, California or New York, and $2,500 a month. can't even pay for their groceries, you know? So yeah, it just depends. Um, can you tell us about your first husband and what exactly happened with his gout? I also have it pretty badly. Not really much to tell. He got it in 2005. He was um he was actually a really muscular person. So he went to UCF also before I went. He was on the football team. He was drafted to Miami Dolphins. He didn't play for Miami Dolphins, but he was drafted back when Dan Marino was playing. And so he was a pretty muscular guy. But anyway, long story short, um, he ended up working in a restaurant and he twisted his knee. They had to do surgery on the knee. When they were in there, they found gout. They found crystals, which meant he had gout. And then I don't know if that activated it or was already about to be activated, but for those of you who don't know about gout, basically you get crystals in your joints and it kind of stiffens up. Um, it's like a really tough case of osteoarthritis, if I'm saying it right, arthritis. But the best way I can explain it is you turn into a tin man. Um, it's like oil can, you know. So then you have to take medicines so you'll be able to move, but then the medicines that you take have side effects on your other organs. So it's like either you don't move and you stiffen up and you become a tin man and you die from not moving, or you take the medicine where you can move, but then it's side effects on your lungs and your livers and all that other stuff. And so basically, um, I didn't know until afterwards, but I knew that he was sick and he would take medicines all the time. But it was basically just deteriorating his body. And one day he just didn't wake up from it because the side effects from the medicine. Um, a commercial came on. Don't answer my question, or are you going to take a solo cabin on Norwegian? I don't have any cruises booked on Norwegian. I am only booked on Carnival and Royal Caribbean. I've taken one free cruise on Sun Princess and one free cruise on Holland America Zooterdam because they did matches with my Royal Caribbean cruises. But other than that, I only have Royal Caribbean and Carnival. Um, Eternity with Jesus, you have a similar story. Let's get it out there. God gave me a Boaz. Do you have a channel? I don't know if you have a channel. I feel like a lot of y'all have stories, and my son is the one who got me to do YouTube, told me to do it as a hobby, so I wouldn't be bored on cruise ships. Who could be bored on a cruise ship? Um, but I've always been told to go and tell your story, not this story right here, but other stories because everybody's going to YouTube and it can be a side hustle and just tell your story. You can teach a lot of stuff. You can teach accounting, you can teach bookkeeping, you can teach what you know about NASA, your internship, or how to raise kids and blah, 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 blah. I feel like there's a lot of people who have stories like I do, and I could do a whole bunch of other different YouTube channels, but I'm not going to. But we just don't want to because we're afraid of we don't like the way we look. We don't like the way we sound. We don't want people to judge us and all this and that. And I'm glad I finally got over that. Thank you, Jesus. I ain't gonna say it's easy though. I'm not gonna say it's easy. You have found where you're supposed to be. I think so. It was his character flaw. Yep, yep, and his loss for sure. And he knows it. He knows it because there was absolutely no reason to lose a good thing. I'm a good thing. I'm a great thing, if I do say so myself. Osteoarthritis, probably. It's probably osteoarthritis. All right, if there's no other questions, then I'm going to let you all go. Let's see. My father had gout real bad too before he passed. Um, thank you. I understand. Thank you so much. Thank you for the condolences on my first husband. Yeah, yeah. I often wonder how different my life would be. I was always afraid, and I'm not saying I manifested this, but sometimes your head plays with you. Um, because my mom was a single mom, and I got pregnant at 17, had my daughter at 18, I was still single. We didn't get married till I was 19. And when I was 18, I used to have the thoughts in my head. My mom was a single mom, and I was a single mom. And my dad died, and I never got to have a dad. And I was always afraid to get married because, like, if I get married, is this guy gonna die on me? Yeah, he did. I'm not saying I manifested that, but sometimes it plays with my head, you know? But it was different. My kids were all grown, totally different circumstance. Um, do you still budget $100 a day for the casino? No. If I was to go to a casino, they got a casino over here. Uh, no, it wasn't here. It was somewhere I went. I saw a casino. It might have been one of the ports. I'm not even staying in Seattle, so it don't even matter. Back to your question. Focus, Chelsea, focus. Um, if I go to the casino on a cruise ship, which I normally don't, I'll usually have a budget for that day. Now that I live on cruise ships, I don't go in the casino every cruise, and I don't do $100 a day. I might say on this cruise, I'm gonna spend, I don't know, $300, or most of the time it's not even like that now. It's totally different because when I go to the casino, it was normally if I was on a vacation. So now that I live on cruise ships, I'm not on vacation anymore. So it's usually I'll go because it's my birthday or it's a holiday or something like that. And then it's like, okay, I'm not going to Hard Rock for 2, 3 days. I'm actually going to a casino where I got access to it every day. And if I'm on a 16-day cruise, I'm not spending no $100. But I might go in there, I might say, Imma take out $300 and Imma play this $300 today, but I don't do it every day on that cruise. Like this last, 15-day cruise, I only played 1 day, and I said, "Oh, Imma play $500, see, if the machines are fun or not, whatever." So, yeah. No, I don't do but, if I was to go somewhere, like if I took a vacation and went to Vegas for a week, that would probably be my budget, $100 a day, yeah. Um, yeah, you need to get some videos, you have a channel. Do you get lonely? I thought that I would get lonely, and maybe that's why Imma say God put it on my son's heart to have me do YouTube. I thought I might get lonely. I've on only for one brief stint of time where I ever lived alone because I was raised by my mom with 7 kids. Before I even left the household, I got pregnant, had kids, whatever, got married. After he died and I moved to South Carolina for 2.5 years, I lived alone, and then I got married again. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna be lonely." I remember I was going through grieving when the first time, 'cause so I was lonely, but I was going through grieving because I had lost my husband, I had my kids right there, blah, 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 so that was a different story. But so far on the cruise ships, I have not once been lonely, and someone said that they think, even though my aunt said, "Stop putting that label on you. You're not an introvert." I am an introvert, but someone said maybe you're growing into being an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert. I don't know, but now it seems like I have no trouble. Whereas when I was in high school, when I was in school, elementary, high school, even my as an apartment manager, um, I did my job and then I went home, or I did my schoolwork and then I went home. I didn't really hang out with people and stuff like that because I mean I had friends and stuff where from the neighborhood that I hung out with and stuff like that, but I'm not really an extroverted person, and I don't push myself to make new friends if it happens organically. People come to me on the ship all the time, but now it seems like now that I'm living on a cruise ship, I feel like I'm a whole totally different person. Um, I'll just see someone on the ship, like I met this one lady, Fran, on this last ship. If she watching, hey Fran, it's like, oh, she got purple hair. Hey, I love purple. And then I'm the one striking up conversations with people. So I haven't really had a chance to be lonely at all because between doing YouTube and talking with people on the ship and just enjoying life and um yeah, sometimes I feel it's just the opposite. Like I feel like I don't get enough time to myself. It's like I don't wanna do YouTube right now. I don't wanna say hey to nobody in the hallway. I don't wanna go do no manicure, pedicure. I just wanna go sit on the lanai and just be by myself and just be still. Whether I just sit there and think, pray, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, I feel like just the opposite. I don't get a chance to be lonely now. Um, the messages are moving kind of fast. Who have you found to be the most interesting people on cruises, culturally speaking? I couldn't say. I couldn't say. I interact more so with the guests than I do with the crew. So I feel like I spend a lot of time with I'm drawn to the comedians as far as crew. And I know they're not part of the crew, they're contracted, but I always end up having full conversations with the comedians. I don't know why. I guess maybe because they liked to um their craft is to make people laugh, and I'm definitely a really good listener. So I'm always laughing. I'm the type of person I laugh at all the dad jokes. So even if their jokes are corny, I'm still the one person that's laughing. But anyway, uh, I would say culturally, any one culture sticks out. Everybody's interesting. Um, okay, we already asked that. I asked if the Wi-Fi on the ship's consistent enough for consistent use in webinars. Nope, nope. And get this, I wasn't getting the Wi-Fi every day when I was just living on cruise ships. But now that I'm doing YouTube full time, I get it every day. Um, because YouTube is paying for it, right? But even with the discounts, okay, so get this. YouTube is not YouTube, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is $23.80. I'm gonna go on a 16. That's if you get it in advance. If you get it in advance, and that's the discount. If you get it when you're on the ship, it's $35 a day. So $23.80 a day. The cruise I'm going on is 16 days. That bill said $380.80. I about had a heart attack. I'm like, oh no. They getting over with that Wi-Fi. But no, it's not consistent. Okay, so um if you are just doing something like watching Netflix and stuff like that, yes. I don't know because I've never done webinars, but if you're trying to load a YouTube video or like my friend Katerina on this ship, she was trying to do some work and she's a video producer. I don't know what kind of work she was doing, but she was struggling with it too. And also they blocked some sites. So um they had so my friend Fran, she came and she was trying to look up something on um online and it wasn't coming up for her. And somebody else, so she came and asked me to look it up and I looked it up. And then somebody else came and asking because they didn't have Wi-Fi at all, so I looked it up for them and it wasn't getting. So basically, there's a lot of sites that they don't let you look up when you're on a cruise ship. Obviously, well, the message said, and I don't have it right now, but the message said we don't allow certain sites. It said something about porn and um uh I can't think of the right word. Threatening stuff, uh violent content, stuff like that, right? So that kind of stuff they won't let on. But also they got casinos on cruise ships. They don't want you playing lottery. They don't allow the lottery sites to come up. So a lot of stuff like that. But one time I tried to load a video during this last cruise. It was a 20-minute video, 20-ish minute video, and it loaded no problem. A couple of hours, 2, 3 hours. The next 20-ish minute video I tried to load, it was over 24 hours and that thing was at 62%. Then the next video I tried to load, it went to like 50% and then it just stopped. So I had to cancel it and start it all over again. So yeah, it's iffy like that. And I've tried different things like leaving my cabin door open, going to the higher decks, going sit on the Lido deck over by the router. I've tried all that different stuff. So no, it's not reliable. But thankfully, I'm on my own time frame, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, if you were going to do a job where you were work remote and you had to load stuff all the time, now if you're just going to do meetings, that might be a different thing, but it's not really reliable. If I travel as a couple, do you think we would both have to spend in the casino? No. Only one person has to get the deals. Do you feel a conflict between using the casino and your faith in God? No, I do not. Not at all. not at all. Is there anywhere for you to practice your faith on the ships? I'm always to myself anyway, and the church that I was going to over in Georgia is the same one that I'm still a member of. Um, so yeah, on my own, but sometimes they have different gatherings on ships, but I've shown on Zooterdam and Sun Princess. I showed the what do you call it? The services that they had. All right, we are getting to the 90-minute mark. So we're right at 80 minutes. So I'm going to go for 10 more minutes. So if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat before I run out of time. But I'm going to hang out for at least another 10 minutes and then I'm going to go find me something to eat. So before I forget to say, or in case you need to leave, um, thank you so much for hearing my story. I feel a release getting it out. I know there's going to be some judgmental people and people are going to come in the comments and say crazy stuff. I don't worry about the naysayers. I feel that this was something that I needed to do for myself and for some other people. So I appreciate, even if you're not in this type of situation, if you're in a perfectly good marriage or a perfectly wonderful job, or you're already in your happy place, that I'm so happy for you. And I'm so thankful that you lended me your ear to be able to put this out. So thank you. Um, Gary Bembridge's two recent videos featuring you. Congrats on going for your code life. Thank you, thank you. He did reach out to me ahead of time. I was a little disappointed because he kind of mixed up a few things. Uh, like he didn't watch all of my videos. Because he said something about that she only gets interior cabins, and that ain't true. I get ocean view, I get balcony cabins, I've got virtual cabin, I got what do you call it, the promenade cabin. So no, I don't only get interior. But he said a few things like that where he wasn't trying to be he wasn't trying to make me look bad or anything like that. He just didn't have the whole story. So he kind of extrapolated from a video or two, which it wasn't true, but I still feel privileged that he even knows my name, that I got to be in his video, and side by side with Rob and Allie. I'm on cloud nine right now. And I got to learn about Fraser. I didn't know about Fraser at Sea. I didn't know that he was living on cruise ships. I don't think he does it on a budget like I do. But it's good to know that there's somebody else out there. I knew about Kevin from 30 and Awake. I knew that he was living on cruise ships. Then he stopped and he moved to Southeast Asia, and now he's back living on Princess Cruises again. But I didn't know about Fraser, so I learned some stuff from that video too, from those videos. Oh, thank you for the comment about my hair. I don't like it. I do like the curls. I do love the curls. I'm gonna show y'all this one time, and that's gonna be it. I don't like how thin it is up here, so I'm probably gonna go back to a wig. Um, but thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Yeah, I love these curls. I like running my fingers through them. But the shrinkage, y'all know how that goes, right? Uh, look into company getting Wi-Fi with your cellular phone. I am, and that reminds me I need to call them today. Um, yeah, I am gonna look into that. What's your YouTube setup? Your camera editing software do you use? I have a GoPro. Right now I'm on my laptop. I have a GoPro and I use my cell phone. And I have a Ulanzi stick, selfie stick from Amazon that I put the GoPro or the cell phone on, and that's it. For editing, I use DaVinci Resolve. I also have Premiere Pro. I've used Premiere Pro at the beginning, but I don't use it now because DaVinci Resolve is free. So, but as a backup, if something happens with DaVinci Resolve, I know how to do Premiere Pro as well. Um, Thank you, thank you. I watch most of your videos. We have a lot in common. I figured as much. I'm sure most of the viewers on here, you and I probably have a lot in common, which I think is why you're drawn to me. Get a VPN. I have a VPN and I don't know how to use it. I have NordVPN, and I'm paying for it. I've been paying for that probably for the last 5, 6 months. I don't know how to use it, but I'm going with my YouTube group next month. Stay tuned. And I wrote 3 pages of questions, and that's one of the questions. I've been paying for this for nothing because I'm not using it right. Um, did YouTube put you in a presidential cabin? YouTube. So the hotel that I'm in now, you can't really see it because I'm in the way. Uh, yeah, this is not really a suite or anything like that. I don't have a sofa, but it is an upgrade. It does have a refrigerator. The refrigerator back there also has a freezer, which they don't usually have. I need to take my yogurt out the freezer. Hold on. Be right back. Oops. I bought yogurt and I came back on the city bus. So I'm like, I gotta make it cold. So I put it in the freezer for a little bit and I just moved it to the fridge. Thanks for reminding me. So this hotel here is actually one night is free with IHG. So if you don't have IHG card, you need to get IHG credit card if you use hotels. So yeah, this is not only is it a free room, but it was also a free upgrade. So it's a little bigger than the normal rooms are. And it's top floor. So yeah, I feel special using IHG. I am not going to that Pike place because somebody already told me that they throw salmon at you, and I'm not about that life. Hey, Wanda. I am downtown Seattle. Tell me where to eat. I need to go eat. I guess is it lunch or dinner? It's 6:16, so it's 3:16. I need to go eat dinner. Lunch/dinner. Yeah, when I get off here in 3 more minutes, I need to go eat. Tell me where to go eat. I am walking distance, so I'm like 3 blocks from the what's that thing called? The Seattle thing? Space, is it Space Needle? The Needle. I'm 3 blocks from there. So if you can tell me a good place over here to eat, I would appreciate it. Uh, I'm not going to Pike's Place. X says he watches your channel. He probably don't. No, I don't think so. Nope. He knows I have a channel. Um, thank you. I appreciate all of the comments. Nice comments. I appreciate that. Have you seen the Family MH Family Travel YouTube? Yep, I do follow Raquel. I don't always get to watch all her videos, but I probably watch her at least once a week. Yeah, I like their channel. They do a lot of different stuff. I'm subscribed to her and also Sig, the solo cruiser. So Miss Cheryl and also Miss Carlene, See It with C, and a bunch of other channels. Uh, cheaper Wi-Fi. Saw YouTube about cheaper cruising Wi-Fi called Gig Sky. Okay, yes, I've heard of Gig Sky. They reached out to me and they wanted me to do a sponsorship. And I said, ooh, my first sponsorship. I've been getting a lot of offers for sponsorships, but my mentor told me, don't accept sponsorship from all these. It's going to be a lot of scams out there. So first, check the email. If it says Gmail or something other than the company name, don't even answer it, right? And then he said, you need to be sponsored by companies that you know. If you've heard of them before, then they're legit companies. So for me, it would be something like, well, I don't know if they sponsor, but Carnival Royal Caribbean, but something like an Expedia or something like that. And then Gig Sky reached out to me and they said, hey, we want to, let you use our system and do a sponsorship. You can advertise it on your channel for us. And I was like, ooh, I never heard of them though. And he told me, if you ain't never heard of them, don't deal with them. But I'm like, well, just in case, maybe I just never heard of them because I don't really get out there like that. I don't really watch TV and a whole bunch of stuff. So plus I got YouTube Premium, so I don't really see commercials. So I went to look it up and I saw that other cruisers. So if y'all are looking for Wi-Fi, this might be something that you can get, Gig Sky. I went and I saw other cruisers had them on their channel. They said how they worked. They said the pluses, they said the minuses or the pros and cons. So they don't always work the way you would want it to work. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna give them a shot. So they sent me this eSIM, which is electronic, but it didn't work on my phone. So I went back and forth with them. Nope, I tried this. Okay, they came back, try this. Okay, I tried that. Nope, it didn't work. Okay, try. So we went back and forth about 3 or 4 times, and it wasn't working on my phone. So I'm like, I can't use it. I can't tell you to or ask you to use it, right? Because if it ain't working on my phone, I want you to have the same hassle I did. So they gave me like $150 of their credit or whatever, so I can use that. But I have a regular Samsung Galaxy S23, which is a pretty common phone. Um, so maybe it's just me, user error, but I couldn't recommend it to. And also, it's not really for on the cruise ship. I don't know. I can't really get into it, but check out if you're interested in doing something like that. Check out other channels that do talk about gay sky because it seems like you can use it for some things, but not for what I would use it for. So, um, yeah, they did reach out to me, and I do know what it is, but it's not an answer for me. Have you ever experienced any ship emergencies, pirates, or weather? No pirates. Weather depends on what you mean by that. It's not a bother for me, but we've had high waves. Like even coming back, they brought the bar bags out 2, 3 days ago because the waves were really high in the Pacific. And then like the next morning, it's like, is this water even moving? It looks like a lake. It's so calm. So yeah, just waves, but not anything that made me want to get nauseous or anything like that. No. Does your family ever cruise with you? Yes, my kids cruise with me. Mother's Day 2023, my kids and grandkids. I say all 5 of them. I only had 4 at the time, but the fifth one was 3 months baking in the oven. So she was on the ship. She just wasn't cooked yet. I've cruised 3 cruises with my sisters, and I have a cruise coming up Thanksgiving. My cruise after Thanksgiving. I'm not gonna be on a cruise on Thanksgiving, but my cruise after Thanksgiving, my son in Orlando, his girlfriend, and their 2 kids are gonna come cruise with me. So yeah, me and my brother keep trying to get on a cruise together. If you're out there, Leonard, hey, if he ain't watching right now, he gonna watch later. My oldest brother. He cruises way more than me, but he cruises on casino deals too. And so we gotta go where the deals take us, and they don't usually take us on the same cruises. So Um, I'm past my time. I'm past my time. All right, I'm gonna go through here real quick, rapid fire. Cheaper Wi-Fi. Do you know that your laugh is very much? Um, all right, and the thing just came up said that my Wi-Fi is unstable, so that might be just a sign from God saying, get off of here and go eat. I'm just looking real quick to see if there's any cues on here, um, or somebody telling me where to go eat. The Space Needle has a food court. All right, I think I'm headed there. No group cruise. I'm not ready for that yet. Remember, I haven't even been doing this for a year, so um, and all right, y'all. I think that is it. I am going to walk over to the Space Needle. If you're in Seattle, don't stalk me, but that's where I'm gonna go over and find something to eat. If you had to start a YouTube channel over, if you had to start YouTube all over, no, knowing what you know, I don't really know what that question is, but I'm enjoying doing YouTube. All right, thanks for watching so much. I appreciate it. Once this is over, if you still have more questions, leave them after the video kind of whatever it does stir up is going to let you go ahead and leave regular questions in the comment section. So I'll come back later and answer it there. But thanks again so much for watching. I appreciate you for hanging in there with me, for being very, what do you call it, engaging in the comments and questions and all that good stuff. I appreciate it. And yep. So after here, I get on Amtrak, I go to Carnival Firenze for 5 days, and then I go on another cruise. If you're in the membership, you know where that is. If not, stay tuned. You will see soon enough. That is a 16-day cruise, and it is going to be another fun one. All right. Thanks for watching, y'all. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope to see you on the next cruise.